I pickle. You know? I pickle they.
All right. What are you putting?
It's dude. This
Loosey
is
goosey.
Yes, it's season 4. The old school. All right. You're thinking to cut it. That's the way we're doing it this year. It's not planned on, but hey, we're gonna probably just.
Hello.
Why not? Yes. Hello. Why the fuck not at this point? Yes.
At this point. We're all fucking like disheveled. An hour's gone by.
Yeah, strap yourself.
I think I changed like 3 shirts while recording.
Boom! You hear that voice? We're gonna introduce him first. That's how we're doing it, man. We're bringing on the man, the myth, the legend, the host with the most, Mr. Cinema Attack. You can call him D Boogie. You can call him
better than Jeremy.
The Boston Brando. Oh, that's not hard to do. The Boston Brando. Go ahead.
X-22 shot.
X-22 shots. You know,
the more tolerable third person on the show.
Yeah.
Derek won't say anything. He's too nice of a guy.
The sanest one on Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space presents visions from Monsterland.
That could easily be true.
Is that the title of the show?
Yes, it is.
Jesus, that's a long time.
They're setting a record. You know how Fiona Apple has the 2 albums that are really, really long? It's like the titles, it's like 100 words and shit. That's what Derek is.
Yeah.
You know?
There's the Fiona Apple of exploding heads.
Yeah, my dad went around dressed as Santa Claus, killing people.
Nice.
Did he die or did he fly away though?
He flew away with E.T.
I wanna fly away.
Well, it's been a long time coming. Sorry.
Yeah.
I had to cut Dave off singing. Sorry, Marco. Please don't kill me.
I was bringing in the first ever intro for the show singing. I was going to say episode 78. And that's how I was going to kick off into this beautiful ride we're taking. But it's okay.
I fucked it all up.
Dude, last week was Colon Mayhem, last episode. This show is just going to be off the fucking rails. Yeah. Sorry, I'm dropping F-bombs early. Things are going on, but I think it's going to be fun.
Hey, it's French, you know, so they swear all the time.
That's right. Women want to call him the Boston Cream. But I'm going to call him the Boston Cream tonight because he's bringing 3 French coolers with him. How about that?
Yeah. I thought it was because he started in a Bukkake video.
Well, it's because my ancestry is French-Canadian.
Ooh. La la.
So, yeah, this is the Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast. Brandon's quiet, but he looks good, and that's what matters. Christian's over here. I'm Daisy. I'm hanging out. And we already gave a great introduction to our special guest, Mr. Derek B., who's... yeah, man.
Hey, if you were on 22 Shots still, I would donate to the Patreon.
Well, actually, a little history of the creation of Exploding Heads. Dave, remember when you were recruiting still and you actually messaged me to be part of the podcast?
Really?
Early days, yes.
Did I you know what? I'm not surprised. I forgot that it happened. But I'm not surprised.
Message everybody. We found out through the grapevine.
Do you happen to have the message saved? And can you read it live on the show?
I'm not sure because it's actually on your old, your other Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Maybe that'll be a cliffhanger.
But I remember too. I was appreciative because I heard you and the other guy Brandon through the voicemails. I want to get both of you guys to do the show with us. And
Oh, really?
Well, there's no way. See, I had to have you first. You're the producer. There's no question you were the first phone call. There's no question of that. I'm no dummy.
I remember this from episode 1.
I never got a phone call. I just showed up one day.
Yeah, but of course I was doing body bags at the time, so plus the way you guys were recording, it was going to be Sundays, and it was going to be, at that time anyways, it was going to be a lot hard for me at the time to commit to one thing when I already committed to another thing. So I respectfully declined, but I respect Dave for seeing talent when talent was there at the very early stages.
Very nice and
what a guy. Yeah, I love him already.
That should be a perk for 22 Shots. We pay enough money to 22 Shots and then get rid of Jeremy and bring Derek back.
Yo, that I will donate.
Yeah, I'll donate too. Even though he's my fellow Jew.
Yeah.
Hey, I love Jeremy and all and stuff, but yeah, he can be a fucking dick sometimes.
Well, the reality is that no, I think that they're throwing shots out at us because comparing Patreons or something to that effect. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, what can you do? We love our Patreons. This is why it's the year of the Patreon. This is you're a Patreon, D, and we love you for it. Hence, you're on the show, and this is what this show is all about.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are his picks. I forgot to I neglected to say that. Like I said, this show was OTR all night long, man. Off the rails. Just get used to it. I hope you guys are fans of the show if you're listening, because if you're not, you may not be a fan after this episode. But it's okay. Donate to our Patreon anyway. Because I got a nice mic and I got shit from it now. See? It's money well spent. Thank you, guys.
It looks like Bill Duke from Mandy inside the red tinge.
It looks like Lexington Steel.
It does. This microphone has girth. Boys and girls out there.
Dave looks like he's at a Mandingo party.
Yeah.
It's not the first time someone's compared me to Lexington Steel. And hey, man, I love the Red Room.
I wish you could see this thing.
Red Room.
Patrons are lucky. They'll see him. He looks like he's fucking eating a hoagie.
It's a Yeti. It's a, what do you call it? It was highly rated. It was a, what's it called again? Something Yeti? I don't know.
Aren't Yetis white?
No, but I got this one $20 cheaper because it was black.
Because there's no such thing as a black Yeti.
And that's the truth. That is the truth. On Amazon, it was $20 cheaper than the blue one. I don't know why, but I was so happy because I like black anyway.
Black History Month.
If
It's Black History Month, that's why.
Them racist motherfuckers. Yeah, Black History Month. Black Yeti's on sale.
He had a dream, that Mike.
I know. What's up with that? But hey, I wanted the black one, and I got that. So,
I wanted the black one.
You know?
Deep down, we all do.
So.
It's true.
Hey, man, you know, once you go...
As usual, we're off to a smashingly good start.
I'm very stressed. I'm very angry. This last hour, we signed on an hour ago. I got kicked off of Skype. I couldn't remember my username or password. I had to create a whole new Skype account. I'm stressed. I don't like change. Fuck everyone.
Or change
Fuck the Patreon.
Fuck everyone. Fuck the Patreon.
And let's get into these damn fucking movies. Are these all French Extreme?
No,
really.
because actually
Watch them, you tell me.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I know them is obviously French Extreme. I just didn't know if like High Lane and The Pack is considered a continuation of French Extreme or just French horror.
There's French horror films, like when we get into them
like High Lane and
well, I chose three. Actually, quick fact: one of the films when we get to it was a first time watch for me. So when we get to it, I'll have some things to say about it. But I chose them because I wanted a little variety of reviews for you guys to do with, like, one film's like this type of movie, this one's another type of movie, and they're all different in their own ways. So add a little flavor to, like, the conversations, you know?
That's
like
true.
You succeeded. You succeeded.
And I will say this,
once.
as much as I'm hating on everyone tonight, and I still hate the patrons. The patrons.
He can't even talk.
I can't even talk. I'm so angry. As
It's
much
like
as
Jim
I still
Morrison.
hate all of you. I do appreciate the fact that we do get a solid variety of films to review. Because I'm waiting for that one person to, throw out like a shitty movie intentionally for us to review just to anger us. Like that shot on video.
That doesn't happen. People don't do that to us.
Exactly. It hasn't happened yet to us. But the way I'm feeling tonight, I'm waiting for that will come with a refund of your money and a big fuck you.
Big shot. Yeah, take him down. Another thing, I'm going to throw it out there, and then we'll get into the reviews. If you have beef with Jeremy from 22 Shots, what you want to do is donate to the Patreon right now for this show, not for that show. Because on episode of 22 Shots, last one, he talked shit about us and says that we're crushing them in the Patreon or something like that. So I said, all right, so just because you said that, I want to outdo you. For no other reason. Well, not for no other reason, but that's the number one reason now.
That's what kills me. What he doesn't realize is that Patreon number would not actually, it'd probably go up if he wasn't on the show.
It's true.
As it stands right now, if he was off, it stays right there. He adds nothing to the level.
And I'm not so sure how hurt our Patreon is because Dave's got a sweet setup. It might be hurting me and Christian because we ain't seen any of it, but Dave's got a sweet setup.
Got
Lexington Steel in his face. He's got a fucking sausage in his face over there.
I had to do it, though. I had to be done.
He's got some Funkos, man. He's got some memorabilia.
Yeah, but he's in the basement.
Hey, most of this stuff was delivered to me by people just like you, Derek. I gotta keep saying it. I did a video, but it's got to be said again. This guy's the nicest guy ever because Derek sent me the Toxic Avenger on Blu-ray, but it doesn't stop there because I've seen he does it to everybody. I've seen posts out there. You're a nice fucking guy, man. You're a better person than I am.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, like all the supporters and stuff and people that supported me, I try to give back, and people that talk to me, and it's always good to give back to the people that care what you're doing and stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it.
You just like having control, Derek.
It's fine.
I'm just teasing because I'm just kidding because
it's
of
much,
the Patreon.
It's so appreciated, and I know that I'm probably not alone in thinking that. So I do anyway. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh yeah. My God, do we? Yeah, in all seriousness. Fuck. In all seriousness. That's
in all seriousness, Christian, you're alone.
Speaking of alone, I have to say something about this. See this mic in my hand? I have used this show and this freaking thing, this pop filter.
Oh, can you send it my way?
and this USB cable. This whole thing. You're taking the Patreon next month. What are you talking about? That's the deal. I needed this mic because this poor thing in my hand has been sitting on my lap for the past 2 months. And if I don't, I echo. So I had to do it. But enough was enough. I said, I got to get a new mic set up. Good God. So here I am. But this guy here, he's been on every show I've done in podcasting. Every single show I've done on a podcast, this mic has been part of it. So I'm
that explains what happened earlier. You jinxed the fucking show.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I did. Oh man, Mikey, what'd I do to you? Oh shit,
Mikey.
White Mikey. Yeah, White Mikey.
White Mike.
Yeah, I replaced White Mikey for Lexington Steel.
For Black Mookie.
So long, chump. I do love you though. Mwah. I had to give it a kiss. What am I gonna do with it? I don't know.
Oh man,
I'm keeping it forever.
You never know. You might need it for a backup one day.
That's true. You're right. And there's a sentimental attachment, obviously. So
and
there you go.
Just so that you're aware, you're not allowed to use the new black one for Skeleton Crew or Banana Laser or any reunion show.
Oh, right.
So you better keep White Mikey.
That's good. I got an excuse to keep White Mikey. Nice. Go, white boy. Go, white boy. Go. All right. He's sticking around a bit. So, yeah, off the rails. We're doing some French flicks. What do you guys want to start with?
Might as well start with the one that you guys left off your last French show for that fucking Jeremy recommended movie that Brandon chose. Trouble Every Day there, Yeah.
I'm a fan of Trouble Every Day, but I like where your head's at because I was thinking we go right in order of the years and start with 2006's Them, a.k.a. Eels. Lucas and Clementine live peacefully in their isolated country house, but one night they wake up to a strange noise. They're not alone, and a group of hooded assailants begin to terrorize them throughout the night. Written and directed by David Moreau and Xavier Palud.
Nice.
Yo, I'll tell you what. Check this out.
We're all ears.
This came out before The Strangers. That's what I like about it.
I thought the exact same thing, man. I thought The Strangers. Now, here's one thing, though. I thought for a short movie, for a movie that clicks in at about an hour and 15 minutes, I know they had to do some characterization and whatnot, but honestly,
go on for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
And that opening scene was useless. Really.
Oh, but it was the best part of the movie, I think. How about that? I think it's the best part of the movie. I enjoyed it. Those 5 minutes, the best.
You know, with the whole thing of it, like when you see based on real events, it was based on a real thing that happens. This is no spoiler there, where this couple was murdered. That it is fictionalized when they try to set up a real danger that these kids are doing, or what these people are doing to these characters when we first meet them. And the characterization, there is stuff that's happening within it when they're alone and stuff in the house. You see the dogs are barking for no reason, and then also the cars start to fucking fucked up. So with that aspect, I did kind of like that they did give us a little characterization, and it is kind of a little more fast paced. They didn't slodge you with our problems and stuff. You know what I mean?
Nope.
I would have liked a little more of that instead of Lucas walking around the house for an hour. But to be honest, this true story it's based on is an Australian couple that was murdered by 3 teenagers, and they can't even corroborate the story. So they don't even know if it's based on actual events, to be honest.
True that.
For that sake, I say soup this film up even more. It doesn't scare me when it says based on actual events, unless it's actually based on actual events. So soup it up with more jump scares, more music, more tension, and I felt like I agree with Christian that the first half of the film just lacked that. I did like the opening. I do agree with Dave there. I did like the opening, but I felt like the middle dragged, even though Clementine is just gorgeous to look at. And then it really got going once they kind of get stranded in the bathroom, go into the attic, and the whole sewer thing. That's when it really takes off for me.
And I agree, Brandon. I said, as I was watching it, I was like, I'm not digging this. But then once it started kicking into gear, I really, really was in for the ride at the end. And there's some tense moments for sure. And I was on board. Like when you just get glimpses when he's like, come on, he's banging on the door to try to get into the door. And then when they open the door, you just see one of the hooded kids fire down the hall. It's just little glimpses like that, really well done. The whole eyeball looking through the eye hole and there's some really, really great tense moments. And it's good when it's really, really. As I mentioned earlier, and as Brandon just said, I just felt like it took a while to get there. And I know we need a build. But I think it's the way they did the build felt like padding almost. Like we have this opening scene because our movie's a little short, so we need to have something to establish it. It's a little bit more forgivable because when she's driving home from work, they focus on that van being pulled away.
Yeah, and what van is that?
From the opening.
No, it's not. It is most certainly not.
There you go. I didn't think it was. I wrote it down. I said, I don't know if that van was from the opening or not.
The opening happened in August of 2002 in Romania. And then it's 3 months later, she's teaching in Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania. So it's 3 months later, she's driving home from school. But it's funny, if you read it on Wikipedia, Christian, it does say it's the same van, but it's a mistake. Because it's 3 months later, because it even says October 2002. Weird. It goes from August to October.
But did they find the van recently, or is it
3 months on the side of the road?
Why would they do that?
Maybe.
Then?
I don't know. Maybe to imply that it's going on beyond just the initial mother and daughter and Clem and Lucas. Maybe it's just sort of like a ongoing thing that's going on all throughout Romania.
Well, that would have made more sense if they had a van. Maybe they only attack people with vans. I mean, the
One
shoes.
crazy.
Did you think it was this? Did you think it was the same van, Derek?
I'm not really sure. I'm really trying to remember because I'm kind of second guessing it myself now. But you know, there's some issues that I did have with it. There's one that really seriously. How the fuck did they get the number to the house?
Yep. No.
Oh
Because
boy.
you know, like when they got the phone and they call and you hear the fucking rattling.
but
The
The
same
gro-
way
the
Jason
the
did in Friday the
grogger.
13th Part 2.
Thank you. See, you read my mind. I was going to say the same exact sentence.
What'd you
Yes.
say? What'd you say?
The same way Jason did in Friday the 13th Part 2.
Mm.
We both went right to it.
Well, are
Of
we
course.
supposed to believe that possibly some of these kids, and another thing I didn't like about the film, I thought the reveal that their children happened a little too early. Are we supposed to believe that maybe some of them are students?
It might be. Maybe they followed her. But
Yeah.
That was the other thing. I wanted to make sure I didn't go back. This was the first time watch, in case I didn't say that earlier, but I didn't go back to revisit the beginning part. Did they establish these kids being interclass or at the
No.
school? See, because
No.
then that's where I feel like it was a little padded too, because they spend a little bit too much time with her at school just for her to leave to go home to then see her husband.
Well,
So I
you know
just-
what it is?
I
They
just felt
set
that-
her up almost as a red herring because she even says, I've been here for 3 months, and it's 3 months later from the August incident.
Mhm.
So they're setting it up like, oh, maybe she has something to do with it. And then she goes home, and there's her husband, Lucas, and he's...
Well, they're not
He's not-
technically married. They're actually just partners, and that's a house that he's residing in. Well, he's writing.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
writer.
he's writing. Yeah, so he's not really working because writing isn't really working.
But everything to do with the chase, everything to do with those final 20 minutes is good stuff.
Yeah, it is, man. Especially if you don't know the aspect of the actress that plays the actual main character, Clementine. She actually has a fear of claustrophobia, so that was real fear, you know.
No, that's good. That's good because her performance was really, really solid, and I did not know that. So that's a cool fact, especially towards the ending in the sewer grate. That had to be genuine fear. Man, I would have been freaked out in there, and I'm not claustrophobic, but that was that was tense.
The whole set piece of, I guess, the attic area where they're running through, they've got all
Yeah.
those, the plastic sheets. Again, really well done. And that's where most of the tension comes from. And that's where, well, it was before then, but I thought The Strangers the whole way through. It's almost as
Yeah.
if he saw this movie and used it as a blueprint for his film. You were home. Like, why is this all happening? You were home. It's like,
Why don't you let
Them
us play with
strangers.
you, you know?
He wouldn't play with us.
Here's the thing, man. I don't typically like all home invasion flicks. If they move too slow, sometimes I just can't do it. For me, suspense is something that I am not always in the mood for, but I don't realize it until I've started the movie. I don't know if you guys know what I'm saying, but it's just sometimes you watch a movie and I don't know, you're just
Well, I think you didn't-
expecting something.
I think you didn't realize it because I really felt like it just took a little while to build, and it's not a bad thing. It's not like I'm not saying I hate the first half. I'm just saying to myself, I'm saying because I've seen it before.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
this is a multiple watch for me. So as the phony phone calls are happening, as the lights are being cut and turned back on, as the dog squeals, I'm like, this maybe a more ambient music playing, or maybe
Oh, I love
even-
the music scores in this. It's the music's there the whole time. It's very subtle.
That's the
where you
thing.
hear the
Maybe
piano.
it was just a little too subtle for me. Maybe even a jump scare thrown in.
Something you're right, but I misunderstood you. I meant you've seen it all before, not that you've actually seen this movie before, and that's why I was going, oh yeah, I agree, because I felt like it was kind of a been there, done that, and it's not really all that French extreme, other than
No.
the glass pole scene.
Yeah.
That's the cringe-inducing
Yeah.
scene for me. The kind of
Yeah. I think the whole reason where it's part of the Fab Five is because it came out during that time period too, where it's lumped in there because of the aspect it came out that when all these other films came out, and it does have some extreme things in it, especially because it deals with kids. I think maybe that's one thing that.
Yeah, and kids are getting killed in this. I mean, it's very dark, so you're not seeing it's not a gory film, so you're not seeing the gore, but they're killing some of these kids.
Yes, they are.
Which
The
is
couple's
great.
good though. The couple's good. They make the film. I'm on the other side of the fence, and I haven't said it, but I'm on the other side of the fence where I like the first half better than the second.
Well, Lucas wasn't on the other side of the fence because he couldn't climb it.
Yeah, he couldn't crawl over the fence. He's like, leave without me.
And she's like, "Will do."
Yeah, I don't blame her. Get the fuck out of there.
See ya.
Oh, man, dude.
Once I heard that dog squeal, I would have been out of there. Anytime you hear a dog squeal, get the
Oh.
fuck out of Dodge.
Yep.
In your
You
Dodge.
Fly.
Yeah, like maybe the first time I seen this, I could agree with you, Brandon, with the whole build-up stuff. But I kind of dug it this review. But that's just me. I understand completely. It's nothing against you guys and stuff. But I liked it because I didn't know when they were gonna strike because it's been a while since I seen this movie too.
Me too, dude. I was cool with that. I'm just not really it's bottom line is sometimes I watch something, it's the suspense thing. Sometimes it captivates me, and other times I don't get submerged. The last time I just watched this movie like 4 months ago because we did it on ABC's A Hidden Horror. I brought it to the table. It was my team movie.
Was it for
And-
it wasn't your eye movie?
Well, because the French words like ills or illus or something like that.
I think
And check it out. Eels translates. It doesn't translate to them. It translates to they, and they allude to that at the right before the end credits. They say they. Yeah, it's supposed to be called they. It should be, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think the reason why they did that too is that they changed it for the U.S. This is because the Wes Craven movie they maybe came out around.
Yeah,
the
they didn't want to be associated with that piece of shit.
Exactly.
Did you guys notice there was like a predator sound at one point when Clem is in the woods?
No. Oh, you know what that thing is? That's that toy he plays with.
I'm not
Really?
talking about the
Rattle.
Grogger. I'm not talking about that Jewish toy to drown out Haman's name during Purim, because that's all I thought about every time I heard the Grogger, because we use that during Purim.
Are you talking
My
about
name is Paul Heyman.
What kind of porn do you watch?
the?
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood you.
Brandon, are you talking about like the Predator growl? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, do that again, Derek.
Oh, that's really good. He's
That
good
That
at
is
that.
really good. That's exactly what I heard.
well, you know who does that voice? Well, this is off topic. You know who actually does that is Peter Cullen. He's the voice of the Predator in Predator.
So was he in the
guy-
woods in this movie?
Imagine they hired him. That'd be awesome. Optimus Prime in the woods.
Wasn't it just their calls back and forth to one another?
It could have been. It might have been like a little distance. Maybe they had another kid had another rattler, so I couldn't find
No,
it.
it was fine. It was cool. It was creepy. I liked it. I'm not complaining about it. I just thought it sounded like the Predator. I was like, oh, that's cool.
With the murky cinematography with this one. What do you think about that, C?
Well, it was dark. This movie is dark, and you're right. It's almost like they did it. I guess guerrilla filmmaking style. There's a description for it, but I'll just say guerrilla filmmaking, where it's almost like they use natural lighting for the most part.
Yeah.
But they couldn't have just done that in the forest because it would have just been lost, especially on film. So there was minimalistic lighting for sure. So it definitely had a muddy look to it. Has this gotten a blue release?
I only have it on DVD. I think that's the only release it has here.
Because I wonder if it's just a transfer, but because the version I had exact same, and it's funny that you bring that up because even in the house, it muddies the best way to describe it.
I think that's just the director's style too, because if you know, they actually directed the I remake after this movie, and that kind of had a similar murky style to that one too. Which I don't love that movie, but I don't hate it either. I kind of like some of the cinematography and stuff inside their version of that. But it does seem like it's a director's choice when they do that type of stuff.
For sure.
It also allows you to save on gore effects. Hey, let's make it murky so no one can see.
Yeah.
Not complaining. Not complaining.
Though.
Sounds like you're complaining.
I do
Yeah, I'm
love the
complaining.
final shot of this movie.
Oh, it's great, dude.
Yeah.
Yes. The whole situation that led to it, though, going through the pipes and ultimately, the fate of her, the way it is. I love when they show that stuff in movies. They only show it in a couple movies. They do it in The Funhouse, they do it in Cold Prey, and they do it in another movie. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
When someone's in that situation. I love that, man. You're just not quite, can't get there. That's serious shit, man. That's dramatic.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
because you're like, your freedom is like only a few feet away No, it's not. I love the last shot we see of the boyfriend as he.
Oh yeah,
that was really creepily done too, and you are invested with them, and this is so the movie did something right, because even though maybe I said I wasn't necessarily on board for the dialogue, I'm not saying I didn't like it, like Brandon. I just said it felt a little forced, and you weren't really given any character development, really, not much. Anyway, before they went to bed and before all shit starts to happen, he's walking around the house, but you actually care about these characters for the end, so you want them to get away because he's trying to help her, and like they are good to one another. It's not like he tries to leave her, like we were saying earlier.
He comes back like later on
to help. Yeah, so it's great. So when I'm trying to be when shit hits the fan, I'm being cryptic, and so I'm not spoiling the whole thing.
It's 13 years old. People should have seen it by now.
Heel.
Yeah.
Straight heel, and I love him. Anyone? Yeah. Oh yeah, he's out of control.
What a dick. Something he's never heard before.
No, I think he's talking about your mic.
My mic sounds nice. Nice, I said. Check one. Listen, Suspiria. Did anyone catch on to a Suspiria thing when she was running through the woods? Or is it just me?
And she was screaming, "I am the witch."
Clickety-clackety.
Yeah. I actually did get a Suspiria vibe when she's running through the woods too, Dave. And that's when the piano picks up, like, do.
Yes. Yeah.
It's actually cool how the composer did the music, because there's actually a featurette in the release too. So, yeah, because he actually a pianist and shit, and they showed him, like, composing and stuff. So it was really cool in that aspect too. And I like subtle shit, like the kind of the music for this kind of reminds me of Ennio Morricone's The Thing score, where it's there, but it's subtle. It's there through the whole movie.
Wow.
And it's like,
I did not notice that.
No, I see what you're saying, Derek, and I compared it to something else too, and I stupidly didn't write it down, and it does have like an early 80s kind of vibe to it. And I'm kicking myself for not writing down that title of the movie that I was thinking of, but I will agree with what you said.
Kick you.
Yeah.
The one sequence was kind of slashery. What did he say?
I said we'd all like to kick you.
We don't like to kick a good man when he's down.
Shit. So yeah, there's a lot of good and there's some bad. It's a mix. You know what I mean?
It's not perfect,
No.
By any means.
Well, who wants to rate it? I want to know what Brandon has to say. I want to see what this fucking heel is going to do to us here.
I didn't hate this film. I never hated this film. I do think of the Fab Five that it is the weakest because of the lack of gore and because of the lack of extremeness. I get confused. I understand you're talking about the director's style of filmmaking with the murkiness, and I don't mind that, but it does get a little bit jarring when they kind of go from, house to attic to outside. All of a sudden they're in the sewer, and the sewer looks like the catacombs from As Above, So Below. It's like, and I'm like, how the hell did they get here? And it's just like, but the tension at that point is already built, so I don't care. I'm coming in where I've always been. My rating is not changing. I'm coming in at 7.5.
Ha! The way you talked about it, the way you talked about this, I did not expect that. No, he's not in full heel mode. Okay, well, it's funny because I rated it slightly lower, and I enjoyed it, but it's I gave it the old 7.25, the rare 7.25.
Nice.
A rare.
I never do them.
Hey, Derek, that's a rating he made up, by the way. I don't know if you know.
Yep.
Well, I might as well do mine. This is the first time I'll ever do an Exploding Heads rating before.
Right on. You can give it a head rating.
Yeah, give it a head rating since
do it. Let me see if anyone understands our head ratings. So do a number and a head. I want to hear what you do. I hope you fuck it up. I don't care.
I'm a half-headed explosion at a 7.75.
Yeah.
He's on the money. I do have an eye for talent.
I went over the ratings with him beforehand because they're confusing as hell.
No, because I just wanted to know what they were, so I get for like a movie we're going to talk about later too. I needed to know where to actually write that. You know.
I'm taking full credit. I have an eye for talent. You said it yourself. I recruited you when you first came out. You struggled a little bit, like we all did, and you become a very formidable host with the most. So, boom. Once again, Dave is okay.
Yeah, I like the atmosphere of this one with the murky cinematography. You know, I don't need gore in all my extreme movies or like any movies in general. If it has like a interesting, fast-paced, murky atmosphere to it, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? And you know, like Christian said, like even though the build-up might be lacking in some aspects, and in some aspects it's dragging, it still has, you do feel for the characters in this one, which I do like.
Totally agree. Did you say cinematography? I don't think you did, but I...
Cinema bun photography.
Cinema beef. No, not beef. Cinematography attack.
I'm right with D. I gave it a 7.25 out of 10. Like I said,
you're right with the D as usual.
The D, yeah.
What a pretentious show.
No,
but pretentious show.
The reason I said the beginning, when I was watching it for the first time, the beginning was fine. It's only as the movie played on, I'm like, well, what the fuck was with that beginning? Like, what was the point of it? I mean, I know that there's usually something that like is there to hook you as a viewer, but because then it just simply jumps 3 months later, I felt like there was a disconnect, and it felt like filler almost. And then we're following the lady and everything else. And I almost would have just rather it opened with her there and then build to the end. I think I would have been totally cool with that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll defend the beginning in saying that you never see anyone at the beginning. You don't even see a silhouette of a person really. So you really have no idea what the hell is out there. So I'll give it that it establishes it in that sense that when we get to Clementine and Lucas, we don't know what's going to attack them. Is it a creature? Is it people?
True.
I like that we don't see who's doing it for all that time. Much like another movie that we're going to talk about later. Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't have said it's Killer Kids, because I think it was spoiled to me that it was Killer Kids. Like I heard it was a Killer Kid movie, so then I just knew it was kids. So
yeah. If you didn't know
spoiler alert.
Going into going into this one, it does seem more effective in that way too.
Yeah.
The original title of the film was They Kids.
Yeah, I pickle they. Sorry, that's a Jerky Boys reference.
I know that shit.
I didn't, but I liked it anyway.
Right on. Well, I guess we got one down. We got some more to go. We're gonna take a quick break. See you in a second.
Hello, Headites. While Brandon goes to write down some more puns that Christian will threaten to leave the show over, and Dave goes to look for more red lights for that room of his that clearly doubles as a European whorehouse, please allow me to tell you about another great horror podcast, In the Mic of Madness. We also have what most shows only talk about, tits, real ones, on a real girl, and we call her Becca. She even knows some shit about movies. My other co-host, Brad, sometimes can get so loose with his lips that it's left on the cutting room floor due to the cease and desist orders. I will warn you up front that our show is not for the faint of heart. We speak fast and loose with our words and tend to offend as much as we entertain. We grew up in far less sensitive times, and our banter reflects that. We focus mainly on ultra-low-budget cinema that most people either ignore or pirate. We also interview filmmakers and actors you've never heard of, and get them to say stuff they'll probably regret once you have heard of them. So come on over and join the fun at In the Mic of Madness, where overlooked films get their fair shake.
Yeah, we're back.
Brandon looks like a young Al Lewis.
I feel like a young Marvin Hamlish.
Oh, he's so vain. He's so vain. He can't record without looking at himself.
I look like a retired Mark Hamill. What are you shitting?
Oh, what? Who? I forget it. All I know is that Brandon's new theme song is going to be "You're So Vain."
I had to see myself while recording.
I'm so vain. I might feel.
Look at his face.
Is this about tonight, or is this about every time we record?
No, just tonight.
All right.
But it's not going to go. But it's going to stick though. It's not. It's going to be a thing now. I hope you know.
For everybody out there, in case we haven't made this clear, we got delayed an hour because Brandon said, his camera was working fine. We could all see him, but Brandon couldn't see him.
So
He couldn't
But
see
I could
himself.
see I could see these 3 gargoyles, so I had to fix it.
Gargoyles, you're the one who looks like if Al Lewis fucked Michael York.
So,
That's a handsome child.
so I
He's
didn't even
handsome,
finish it. So he's like, I gotta fix this, and he can't get back on Skype for an hour.
And I told him not to leave. I said, don't do it. Don't fuck it up. It's okay. You better do
That's
it now.
because I signed out of Skype and I couldn't remember my sign-in.
Out of control.
That's crazy.
That's how I
Vanity.
felt all
Vanity.
day with my daughter, and then you did it to me. I was like, holy shit, what else is going to happen? I got a sick dog. Oh, these past 24 hours have been out of control. And that was the cherry on top. But we're doing the show now. We always have fun when we're doing the show. So
Oh yeah.
You're so vain. That's just your gimmick now. You're a heel. You're riding with it. So rock and roll. I like B any way I can get him. He's fine. So.
He's looking like he's in the corner of his screen right now.
Oh, he's always got something with the camera.
My mic's in the corner over here, so I always stay close to my mic, so I'm never center.
All right. Do I sound okay? Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm worried about. If I spent all that money, I was like making sure, you know.
You sound 25% better.
25%. Yeah, but it's not in my lap anymore. It's okay. I don't have a freaking. I'm not juggling my freaking, white Mikey in my lap.
That's great.
That's what was happening. So anyway, I have to do this because we didn't do it last show, and we got to do it. And it's you're the patron, so I'm sorry. It's going to take a minute, but I am going to read the patrons because I said I do because we got new ones and everything else. So
I think anyone who gives $1 doesn't deserve a mention.
well, when I read it, I'm not going to be able to tell what they give.
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm really in a bad mood over the Skype thing.
Because he didn't listen to me. See what happens? That's the line I have been saying to my daughter, and I do it to my wife too. She don't listen to me either. And then later on, I'm like, see what happens? Just listen. It's working. Be grateful that it's working at all.
It would have been working if I knew my password. I just didn't know my password.
I know.
Did you know your email?
Hey, I did it too. I did shit too. Remember before that big show? So
You're the only person in the world that has different passwords. I use the same thing for everything. You have like 50 different passwords. He's got like.
he's out of
That was itemized.
Great sound effect.
Good stuff.
I'm going to read these things off now, so be glad you guys aren't doing it, that I'm doing it. So, here we go. These are our patrons. 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. Of course, this is alphabetical. That's why they came up first.
Oh, let's be honest. That's JP. With maybe a sprinkle of moods.
Maybe.
That's
Little
some of
mood
JP's
dust.
that's JP's landscaping money.
And with their money, I'm going to start a new segment on our show. It's going to be called Fangoria Back Issues. I'm going to start reading articles from old Fangorias moving forward.
Nice.
Something
You should do
I've
Rue
come up
Morgue
with.
because you're Canadian.
Yeah.
You should do the Rue Morgue version, you know? Represent. That was the first of 64 or something. Anyway, 22 Shots of Moods and Horror, Eldo Romero, Amanda Wiggleneck, Anthony Crisani, Benjamin, Bryson Burtock, Christine Strow, Corey Walter, Dale Strom, Dan Stroshine, Dave Parker, Mr. Parker, Debbie Overly, Denise Thomas, Derek B. in the motherfucking house.
Yo.
He's here in person.
Thank you, sir. Don Collier, Doubles,
Dubbin.
Dustin
Cinema
Baker, yep. Elizabeth Schmidt, Eric Notkin, Eric Webster, right on. He's a new one. There's a couple of new ones.
Thanks,
Georgia
Eric.
Johnson, Joey, Baby Joey, Glenn Biesmans, Glenn Wolf, James Cowks, James Dean, Jason Sexton, Jonathan Watkins, Joshua, Keith Moffitt, Kevin DeCiani, Kevin Corby, Kill the cast. Mark Latham, Marco.
Hello.
Fish out of water? That's how we play it in Canada.
Fish out of the yeah.
How do you do it?
Matthew Carr, Matthew Cockrell, Mr. Venom, a.k.a. Jerry.
Yep.
Paul Garcia, Pete Iacano, Rafael Gardo, Ram Man himself, Mr. Ram Man Reviews.
Yeah.
Robert Patterson. He's got something special cooking up for us, by the way.
From Twilight?
From Twilight. Yeah.
The new Batman?
Ram Man. Ram. Did I say Bat? I don't know.
Well,
You said Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Oh. What about Robert? Oh, I got you. Okay. Sinister Cinema. Our homie Jason, who we got a triple R coming up tonight. Test Pattern. And BC. Mr. William Casanelli. That is everybody. We love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Ignore Brandon. We do love you.
Yep. Yes, we do. Don't listen to that heel.
I now have my to kill list.
You gotta be the nice guy because Jeremy dissed us. So now you gotta recruit them in. You're gonna let Jeremy win. We know you don't want that.
I don't even know what's going on with this whole thing.
Kill this. What are you, Steve Buscemi and fucking Billy Madison?
Yeah.
So that's that. So are we ready to French it up with another crueler?
Yeah.
Another crueler.
We're going in order then from release year?
The Baker's dozen.
We are.
Hey, whatever. All right.
Wait, whoa. Before you talk, Brandon, is that how you want it, Derek?
Yeah, well, technically,
Okay,
the next
enough.
two movies are the
Brandon.
same.
I'm joking.
No, the two movies are the same year anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Go by month then, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever makes you happy, buddy.
Next up is High Lane, aka Vertigo, from 2009. A group of friends on vacation decide to venture onto a trail high up in the mountains that has been closed for repairs. The climb proves more perilous than planned.
This movie here should be part of the Fab Five, not the other one we talked about tonight, and not the one we reviewed on the other French show.
No, the one we reviewed on the other French show should be Fab 5.
Well, this one should. That's all. I'm saying.
This is
No,
the Fab Six. So
Oh, you fucking
I like this movie too. I do not know why they translated it to High Lane. That title's weird.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre
Weird.
title. First time watch for me too, so thank you, D.
First time watch, I think, for all of
Yep.
us.
This was actually a first time watch for me too.
Oh, this is the
Really?
Okay, nice.
Wow, what balls on this guy? And you swung it. You knocked it out the park with this one, as far as I'm concerned. This took me by total surprise.
Yeah.
It was the last movie I watched, and I'm not over the moon, but it's the best of the bunch. Spoiler, and I think it's great. I really had fun with this movie. 3 different acts, all great execution. I really enjoyed it.
I'm with you, man. This kind of had that cold prey feeling for me. I dug it too. Women are attractive. Hey, the men are attractive too, and it just, you know what? Quick introductions, and you get some characterization as it goes on. We're not talking deep, but we're talking enough.
No,
and
yeah.
and it just keeps going. Like you're feeling that tension as they're doing the climb. When
Yes.
shit happens, you're feeling it there. You're like right there with them.
It's
I
like
thought this-
Cliffhanger.
It's just like Cliffhanger.
Just like Cliffhanger.
No,
But
you
without
know what?
Henry.
No, here's the vibe without Henry, yeah. Here's the vibe I got. For the first half of this film, I got a vibe of Final Destination.
Wow. Oh, because when they showed the thing shake. It was like-
Everything was shaking. It was windy, and like I felt like it was almost supernatural. And then, of course, it turns into a Hills Have Eyes type thing. So two great movies that I love. So I really did enjoy this. The one thing you got to get past right from the start is Fred and Corinne, or Karine, however you say her name. They're experienced climbers. Why the fuck are they taking these other 3 on this fucking most extreme climb
Because
ever?
you know what?
You know
That's
why?
what they love. They love doing that shit. They love saying, "Look, we'll show you the ropes."
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't know how to tie them.
Yeah,
Wait a
my-
minute. Wait a minute. You're missing out on something here, plot-wise. It's like The Descent and it's like The Ritual. 2 movies where they didn't take the planned route. They did some other thing. It was they got swerved into a different thing. They might have been going there for something what they all thought was going to be much simpler, but then they got into a freaking pissing contest about the girl. So things happened, and the other thing was recommended. So I think that had something to do with the decision for them to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
who's got the big
Even
balls?
the opening climb, where they see that the mountain's closed and they see the symbol written in chalk, and they see that the mountain is closed. That initial climb right there is like, okay, I can't do this as a first-time novice climber. Why am I doing this anyway? And why the fuck am I climbing in Croatia?
The dude was doing it for the girl. The dude that sucked at it, that was a pussy, and that freaking ended up being a heel. Was freaking. It was all shit.
Oh, I fucking hated Luke
Loic.
so much.
Loic.
I just called him bitch boy all in my notes. I'm like, this fucking bitch boy.
Yeah, and then he kind of half-ass redeemed himself for a second there, but then
Fucks
went
it
right
up.
back down.
Same thing happens
Yes.
in one of the Coldplay movies with the guy who kind of pisses off and then comes back and redeems himself.
That's
Yeah,
right. The
but-
first one, right?
Yeah, but this guy
yeah.
does something kind of scummy too. That you're like, okay, this guy's a fucking dick, you know. Like, but it's that whole like love triangle thing that's going on too. That kind of hurts it for me because
Oh, that hurts
they,
it? Oh.
They play with it, but they don't. It makes bad decisions in the final act of this movie that lead to it. Like, it's just I couldn't get aboard like with the whole love triangle thing. I know it was there to get the story going, but at the same time, it kind of hurt it for me too. With the aspects of this one double crossing him, and then this one's fucking doing the same thing at the very end and shit without giving too much away. When people make stupid decisions, it fucking pays off in the wrong ways, you know?
I loved it. I love that aspect of it, but I kind of know what you're saying with the double crossing part of it, because you figure, are they both assholes? Like, even if someone did that to you, would you retaliate at the end? And I think,
You know what? I think I don't even know how to fucking say his name. William?
Yeah,
Willam?
so difficult. Yeah. Bill.
Well, it's spelled like Willami.
Oh, no, it's with a G. Did you
Yeah.
say? Oh, I think it's a W.
I did say it like William. I feel like it translates to William in English.
It is.
I thought it's like Robert Guillaume, or what's that guy's name? Remember?
Goulet?
No, Benson, or what's his name? You know, that actor. Yeah.
Benson.
Oh, yeah, wasn't it Benson? Who played Benson? Robert Guillaume, isn't that the guy's name?
The same guy that played Mr. Belvedere. I have no clue who played
You
Benson.
guys are aging yourself right now. I'm not as old as that, all right? I don't know this.
It is Robert Guillaume. Here's how the name is spelled, the same as this actor who was the lead in Benson, and you know, okay, Guillaume. Guillaume, isn't that how that's pronounced? It's French.
Willem.
Guyon is what I'm going to rest on Derek's face in a couple of minutes.
They do
If you don't mind.
They do a great job of establishing characters. In particular, you get the sense that Chloe is the lead because they immediately start with her flashbacks. She's a nurse in a hospital, and she's having flashbacks to her trying to help a little boy who's in trouble, and
Not doing so well.
not doing such a great job. And of course, there's no doctor around. So
Yeah.
unless she is a doctor, I'm not sexist. I know women can be doctors. Not real doctors, but doctors.
Oh.
He's a heel.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, like the whole aspect of it with like the character development. I agree. They do build the characters well, because when characters go, they go, and you feel bad. You know, it's very
You do, and I thought it was pretty shocking the order in which the characters went, because I didn't see it that way. I'm like, okay, this one's gonna make it till the end. This one will make it, and then of course, like the ones I'm thinking are making it, or the first one's gone.
Yeah.
The cinematography was awesome, though.
Cinematography was fantastic. Set pieces were great. That whole suspension bridge scene,
Yeah.
very well done. The
Very
fake,
shout out to Just Before Dawn.
Yeah,
true
yeah.
enough.
Minus the crying.
The fake heads in this
Hey.
movie ruled. There's a lot of fake heads in this movie, and they were really well done. One of my least favorite things, I don't know why they skimped on it, because they seemed like they had a budget and they had some decent gore effects. Some of the arrows, badly edited. So it's just kind of like people reacting, and all of a sudden there's like an arrow through them or whatever. And I just thought that was strangely edited, and for a movie that was otherwise really well put together. So I don't know if it was just a lack of budget.
I didn't notice it. I didn't mind
Yeah.
it, especially when the girlfriend, the Karine, gets shot with, and she gets dragged away, and she's using her camera and the flashes. That's a cool scene.
Oh, when she was hiding in the yes, to see what she was doing.
Yeah.
That was great. That's what I'm saying. That shit was great. The bridge in the beginning was great. The one in Just Before Dawn, it doesn't have the impact that this does for me. This is when I remember. I forgot that it was in Just Before Dawn until you said it.
Yeah,
So that
it's a little different, but
yeah.
that's the kind of vibe I got. Well, it takes place in like the mountain area too, that movie. So
Oh yeah,
That too.
I get you. This is just done right. This was the way to execute it. I was talking about being suspense, how it works sometimes, but sometimes it don't. Well, when I watched this one, it was the perfect amount of suspense, and it was in the first act. I love when they do that, man. I love when a movie does that. Yeah.
What do you guys think about the main
Antagonist?
yeah,
Anton?
Anton?
Let's face it. He's a slapped together version of what we've all come to expect from
Hills
a
Have
backwoods
Eyes,
motherfucker.
Wrong Turn.
Yeah.
And it's fine, though.
I don't care.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
This is what I was saying before. There was another movie tonight where they don't reveal it for the longest time. It took a long time. You're watching this movie, and your mind can go to many places who's doing this. It could be supernatural. We do not know for the longest time. And
Thank you. I feel like that justifies my comparing the first half to Final Destination, and then it becomes Hills Have Eyes, because until you meet Anton, it has a very supernatural type feel to it, where you don't see anything. You're not really sure if there's anything there. Could just be terrible luck, or maybe Fletcher and Karine aren't that good at tying ropes.
Yeah, it's like the French version of Rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah, little rituals. Yeah. I tell you, man, I really enjoyed this. Everything that happened at the end sequence, when the ladder scene and everything that happens is so well played in so many ways. The last 5-10 minutes are fantastic. That whole sequence at the ladder and what happens and the way it plays out, and I was invested in it. I was a little bit invested emotionally in it. I liked the characters. That doesn't happen with me a lot. But when it does, it works well, and that's what happened in this movie for me.
Yeah, I like it, and I get where Derek's coming from with what he said earlier, because we get, Loic, a.k.a. Bitch Boy, coming back, redeeming himself, and then all of a sudden the old switcheroony with Guarame. What the fuck his name is. But I could have done without that. It could have just been a simple, I can't hold this much longer, It could have been just as simple as that. It could have been innocent and a little bit more heartbreaking that way, rather than having two assholes in the group.
Yeah, and plus he paid for it in the end, anyways.
Yeah, he paid for it anyway, and of course Chloe's final showdown with Anton I thought it was terrific, but But then it just kind of, I don't know, it just becomes cliche, the dropping of the weapon. It's just, that's the only thing that hurts it for me, really. It's like, finish it. Finish it. I get it. They play it out. They connect it to the flashbacks, which they started very early, and it was really well done. So you understand. You understand completely. But it's so different that it's like,
Yeah, especially since this guy just killed all our friends and shit. Like,
yeah, exactly. This is Anton's. Even though we find out later who Anton really is, we don't know right now at this point.
Yeah,
where Anton's origin started. Chloe certainly doesn't either. She just sees his shack full of heads, him torturing and fucking dismembering all her friends, and decides to drop the weapon.
Exactly. Like he was about to just fucking kill her in the house. He just fucking killed Will. It's just fucked. And she pays for it too, because the way the movie ends, you're like, what the fuck did I just watch this for?
I do like the way they cut it though, because it's such a beautiful scene of her.
Yeah, it is. It's a great
and then
aerial shot.
And then the fade to black and just the audio. Just hearing it.
You know what I mean?
I like it too. I love endings like that, so I was totally on board. I had no problem with that.
I don't usually like endings like that, but I mean, it just I didn't mind it here. It just felt it was just, it shouldn't have happened.
What? Wow. Okay, I don't think it was a heel turn at the end. B.
You don't?
No, I do not. I think he was trying as best as he could, but and he was really, giving it his all. But he also at the same time was thinking back that, 20 minutes ago, this guy left me for dead over there, and things were crossing his mind, and it was becoming too much for him to bear physically. But he was still trying as best he could. But it got to the point where he had to make a decision, and let's just say that he didn't regret it as much as he would have if it was just another person. That's how I look at that. I just find that as life. That's how anyone would do it.
Oh, I think it was a heel turn.
Yeah, I
do
guess
you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Either way,
Eric?
I think it was a heel turn because of the way his face looked.
Oh, shit.
The
Yeah,
facial
I
expression.
Well, that's him thinking about it, but he still, after he did it, he was still struggling to help him. It wasn't like they had a look on his face, and 1 second later he let him go. He was still struggling at the time.
Yeah, he had to make it look genuine. I think it was definitely the end of the bread.
All right, well, maybe I'm reading too deep.
Then he was thinking all right because then he got a fucking thing in the head.
That's what makes it so tragic, though. See, I don't want it to be a heel turn if that happens, because that was like you actually felt for the character. He was true blue the whole time. He could have been a dick considering what was going on.
That's karma, Kramer.
Yeah, that's karma, man.
Yeah,
And
I
plus,
guess so.
And plus, if 3 against 1 might have helped their chances a little bit more too if they just worked together. So that's why I didn't like that whole situation.
Chloe's a badass. Chloe was a badass. I'll give her that. But
Yeah.
the only part of the movie that really kind of doesn't make sense when she falls through that booby trap and manages not to land on any spikes except that one that went through her arm.
Well, especially when they go, like they descend down to rescue her.
Kareem
and there's
right
like
down, and
literally
she almost impales her face on it.
Yeah,
doing the worm through them.
And that was a big descent down. So
she should have been dead, I think, from impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's just sitting there like.
I just got one in the arm, Okay.
They're calling down to her. Okay, maybe she's not that far down, but they're calling down to her. Even if you're impaled on the arm, you're gonna be like, "I'm hurt," or "Come help me." She doesn't say a damn word.
Weird. Didn't that happen in that other movie too? Last show, You Might Be the Killer. Wasn't there a booby? You might be the killer. Yeah. Didn't that happen in that movie where the girl fell down the freaking booby trap with the spikes?
Yeah.
She didn't get killed either. So it's the new thing.
This one was a much bigger job, though. This one seemed like you had to hit at least 2 or 3 spikes on the way down.
But Anton was an idiot. He set that up stupidly.
The safe spot.
Maybe I don't feel as high as I did on it then. Because it hit me more when that thing happened at the end with the fact that he was that kind of a guy. And it's not a surprise. It's a surprise when that happens. When a character like that gets it, that's a surprise. You know what I mean? When a guy has a heel turn and gets it, it's expected. So I think I liked the movie so much because of I thought they threw a wrench in it and freaking did something different with a swerve. So I'm going to have to come down a little bit.
Did you think all the arrows looked bad? Was there a specific one, Christian?
They all look bad in every movie. No, in most movies, arrows suck. Unless you're talking big budget. That's one thing I noticed about CG. You can always tell.
Mm-hmm. Well, this one didn't have CG, so this one would be like maybe a sound effect, and then the person would come in a frame with the arrow already penetrating through and like a spit up of blood. It was just a quick cut. And I noticed, I think it was 2 times they did it. Without going into too much detail, to try to be as spoiler-free as possible.
Huh. Okay. I was just wondering.
And
it just didn't bother me.
I rewound it, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of oddly edited. And it could have just easily been like they didn't have the budget to actually make a quick effect of it looking like it was actually shooting through. So they just did the quick pop in the frame with it already there and done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So one of the arrows kind of looked like a harpoon to you, kind of. It looked like
Yeah, I think it did. Otherwise, he also didn't like the waste arrows because then he miss the one guy and then pull the arrow out of the tree to salvage it and save it. Anton's like a reuse, recycle type guy.
That's very Walking Dead. Daryl does that all the time.
He's what?
He's
Jewish.
Jewish.
He was Jewish.
Daryl's Jewish. Oh, man.
No, I still thought it was an enjoyable watch. This one was fast paced.
All these films tonight that we reviewed ran under an hour and 20.
I know, I loved it.
I like it too. My perfect length film now is like just over an hour.
Yeah, I love it. My daughter said the opposite. She watched them with me because she was off of school this week, so she had to watch these movies. She had no choice, and she's grounded from every device. She had no choice. That's all this girl has left in her life is drawing and watching whatever Dad watches when I want to watch TV. That's where she's at. That's whatever. She brought that
Porn again?
Dad, hurry up and finish.
See, you didn't want to crack the Baldy joke last
Then
week.
all of a sudden, Dave,
The Baldy joke was a little too far. You dropped the porn stuff.
That Baldy joke is too dark.
Yeah.
That was oh boy. That the Baldy joke didn't bother me. Hell, I said it. Fuck. That on the other hand, no, but seriously, she didn't like that they were short. She goes every time she said, "I've never seen a movie so short." And I go in and she goes, I said, "Why do you like them longer?" She goes, "Yeah, I do. I like long movies." I'm like, "Wow, that's strange to see," you know.
Well,
The
she's been
12-year-old.
watching your number ones for the last 4 years, which was the fucking Gone with the Wind lane.
She did see Suspiria twice, the new one. Well, anyway, I enjoyed her. Great final girl.
Yeah, I really liked her. Very attractive girl. Good cast. You know, it made sense. You felt like they were friends. All right, maybe a little forced that Fred invited Chloe's ex, and you know, but it created good tension there.
Yeah.
Beforehand, and the ending was good. The only thing I didn't like was at the very end that they announced that Anton had disappeared as a 5-year-old. What they should have done then is, okay, he was abducted as a 5-year-old, so he clearly did not raise himself as a feral child living on these mountains. Somebody else did. So they should have had some other mountain man appear at the end to maybe set up a sequel. Just giving us a clue that there's somebody else out there.
Yeah, they could have done that.
I think that's the only thing. But otherwise, it's fine. I like, the stat 3,270 mysterious disappearance in the Balkans unexplained and all that. And, if anything, I learned not to go climbing in Croatia.
Yeah.
Not that I was planning to anytime soon.
And they use the old, your thing about Friday the 13th Part 2, Dave, where when Jason hears his name and he's like, how does this girl know my name? Like that was a big, that was like a big thing in this one. Anton! He's like, oh.
I thought they were going to go full. Dude, I thought they were going to go full fucking
full frontal?
Jason first.
Full frontal?
Yeah, full frontal. I was hoping to see the mountain man full frontal. Yeah.
Anton is a baldy.
Oh, man.
Good.
Out of control. But good gore, too. The bear trap scene, some other stuff. We had a lot going on.
Yeah,
And-
I always love a good bear trap scene. They're always brutal.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're great, man. That's some good gore. Man, I don't know if I come down because there was no heel turn or not. I feel weird about this. I feel weird. You guys, someone else read
You know what? To me, like you saying that you don't think it's a heel turn,
You guys talked me out of
I-
it. It was 3 against 1. I gave in. I did.
but I could, either way, it doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the film.
Well, it doesn't affect it, but at the time, that's what made it so high of a rating for me. I'm like, oh, you don't see that much. They swerved me. It's exciting. You know what I mean? So now that it's taken,
it's
Yeah.
definitely exciting. But either way, I think it's exciting
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you're right.
and shocking. I'll
Yeah,
just go
you're
ahead and
right.
I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm at the same rating I was with them. I'm at a 7.5. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go first before Derek. I got it. No, you go, and then I got to go before Dave, so that Brandon doesn't keep thinking I come into the same thing as Dave. But go ahead, Derek. You're next.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
also at a 7.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Like I said, I do enjoy it, but I think some of the cliche shit does kind of hurt it for me personally. That's just me, though.
And I'm sorry for cutting you off there, D, but I'm a bit higher, man. I appreciate you picking this. I'm an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Damn, look at that. I'm pretty high on it. I almost dropped it to an 8 out of 10, but I'm going to stick. I'm at 8.5. I really enjoyed the ride, man.
Can't you drop it to 8 just so I could have my point? Just that you and Christian always have the same ratings.
Which we never do.
What are you talking about? We do not.
Your guys' cycle synced up in season 1 and it hasn't stopped since.
That's why you turned heel. It's all coming out now. That's why you
Crazy
turned
talk.
heel.
fucking
This
guy.
is a classic. This is a classic freaking angle. This is an old wow.
C hasn't been on my side since The Boy. And since The Boy and what was the other one? Don't Breathe.
He was on your side on Don't Breathe.
Yeah, that was the last time.
Those are the last two I can remember.
You ganged up on me on Don't Breathe. I'll tell you that. Where do you land on Don't Breathe, Derek? While you're here.
It's been a while since I watched it. I dug it for what it was. I think I'm maybe like a 7.5. That range.
Okay. I haven't watched it in a while, and I haven't had the urge to watch it, but my rating's still high. I still thought it was
I
great.
actually kind of want to rewatch it right now that we brought it up.
Now seems kind of the time.
I did rewatch it. I think I told you I rewatched that and Split two movies that it came at 6 out of 10 initially, and both movies went up on second watch.
They
Split
went
I've
up
actually
right
seen
to,
3
right
times.
to Dave's rating, right?
Yeah, exactly. Bang, like, boop, right on you.
It's always a
bastard.
second view.
Remember,
on,
this is just
yo,
a character
right,
I'm
second
playing.
view.
Don't really be
Yeah.
mad, Christian.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
not
like you
mad.
should.
No, I'm not.
I'm not mad.
Just a
You're
character I'm
fucking-
playing.
It's just a character.
Tell that to your knuckles.
Quick, funny fucking story. The infamous Death Squad Service review that Brandon did. He was like, Derek recommend. I tried to warn him not to watch that movie, and he still went out and seeked it out. I'm like,
You don't
Embodied.
listen. You don't listen. We learned that earlier tonight. You didn't listen to me.
You know something? I always say that my reviews and my opinions on films are fluid and they can change constantly. And when we do these reviews, I have a ballpark area of where I am, but they can change based on our conversation. But there's only been one movie that I've reviewed where I felt like I intentionally came in giving it a certain score, and I kind of kick myself for doing it now.
Don't Breathe you're talking about?
Death Escort Service 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's Score Service 2. It was better than the first one, but I intentionally came in a lot higher than I should have,
Uh-huh.
just to keep the haters off my back, and I shouldn't have. I should have reviewed it fairly, but it was a lot better than 1. I'll give it that, but it was no 6 out of 10.
It was
So
1
now
out,
that you're-
1 out of 10.
Yeah, is it? Now that you're full heel, what's your rating? You got to do it now.
Honestly, probably more like a 3.5, 4 out of 10.
Okay. That
The first one is a 0 because it had writers involved with it, yet there's no story to it. So what were they writing?
Just gratuitous ways to kill.
Oh yeah, let's shove a bat up a pussy.
No, yeah,
oh,
those-
okay. That's
you
what I'm
know,
tough right
you know those
now.
You get a
movies had
writing
their
credit.
those movies had their audience. Like
I know.
all
I
movies
know.
do.
I'm really not hating on Sean Donahue or Chris Woods. Like, good for them. They're doing their thing. So it's just not for me.
Derek, another question for you. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 or Rocky 4?
Ah.
I will crush you, Rocky 4.
There you go.
Happy birthday, Polly.
Yo, I've been meaning to rewatch all the Rockies. I've seen them all several times, but you know how I always say a movie's only as good as your first watch. Maybe if I went back and saw Rocky 4 again, I wouldn't have the bad experience because the second half is too slow for me. But sometimes,
What, the
like
big
I said,
fight?
No. The fight is, as a matter of fact,
James Brown.
I've always said, oh, that shit's great. I've always said that the best fight in the Rocky movies was against Drago. Just the fight itself. I've always said that.
It's half
But
the movie. That movie is edited like a
I'm
music
talking
video.
Russia. When his foot hits the ground, the snowy ground in Russia, from the time he gets to Russia and trains to the time he leaves, it took me out of it last time I watched it. It was too slow moving. Something happened, So, are you laughing at me?
Yeah.
I am, and I'm the heel.
You are. I guess you get to.
I'm the end of the bread.
You bust my balls, just like my daughter. She don't listen to me either. I know.
But to be fair, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 has grown on me over the years.
Oh, nice. Glad to hear it. I don't think it's the cat's ass, but I do like it.
Yeah.
Are we going to jump into a triple R?
Another show. I guess so.
I like
Yeah.
the cats.
Yeah, we might as well do the Triple R next.
Triple R time, and this is from our good buddy Jason.
Yep. Jason Smith, Sinister Cinema Reviews, and of podcast fame now, because I have been listening to it too. Haven't you? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Christian. You take it. I talk too fucking much. Please.
Yeah, you sure do. Podcast entitled In the Mic of Madness on YouTube, it's on Apple Podcasts for sure.
That's a good title, In the Mic of Madness. I
Yeah,
like
it
that.
is.
That's
And
a
it's-
really good title.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
No shit.
It's a good
It is,
show
yes.
too. Yeah, they've got a good flow. It's a
Yep.
trio.
Yep.
Another gentleman and a lady, and I'm sorry I forgot your names, but you're all great. They play off each
Is
other
she
well.
single? Did she mention me?
I didn't ask.
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
Dude, that girl wants you. She's
I know.
single.
I'm just
And what's their name wants you? The guys that messaged me the emails last week. But that's
the
a whole.
guys that messaged
Yes.
me email want me.
Yes, that I haven't had a chance to read yet. That'll have to be next show, along with my other review that I told someone I was going to do for a Triple R because they messaged me. They messaged us, but specifically me because I'm the found footage guy and they addressed it to me. So he said that he watched a new movie, a found footage movie that came out at the end of 2018, and that he really liked it and that he knows I love found footage, so he recommended it. And I watched it, and I was going to do a Triple R of it tonight, but we're running behind thanks to Mr. Vane. And he was just talking shit to me, though. I had to give him
5-pound vein in my cock, maybe.
Shit.
What are you, Tommy Lee?
Tommy D. I'm Buddy Lee.
Fucking Cuddy Lee. Yeah, so I'm gonna say that for next show, along with the story about Brandon and the people coming after him that that are digging his shit. But now, Triple R, Sinister Cinema, or Sinister Cinema, I say. I mean, it is the man, but the movie's called what's it called? B?
It's called Dry Blood. Actually, it's from. It says 2017, but it's a 2019 film. I think it just got released.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious? This is my first 2019 film then. Oh.
Yeah, it was released January 11th, 2019.
I have another reason to watch it. Now, I wanted to rewatch it. Now I have another reason.
Actually, Camp Death 3 in 2D is your first 2019.
Right. It is official. Let's hope.
For one. Ha ha.
Actually, I hope.
Method has failed.
I hope that's the worst movie of the year for me then. That's fine. Maybe that'd be great if it did happen that way.
This was actually a second time watch for me because I've watched 8 2019 films. It hasn't been a lot yet. It hasn't really gotten going yet, but I've watched 8, and this was one of the earlier watches, so this was a second time watch.
Yeah, this is my first 2019.
All right, let me read this description. In a rural mountain town, an unstable drug addict must unravel a surreal murder mystery as he's terrorized by malevolent ghosts, a deranged sheriff, and the frightening hallucinations from his withdrawal. Directed by Kelton Jones, who plays the sheriff. Written by Clint Carney, who plays our lead, Brian.
Also, producer and executive producer and editor.
And in charge of craft services.
Probably.
And key grip. That description, that kind of ruins the movie a little bit. I think they should have left a little bit out of that description.
Let me reread it. Dry Blood.
Yeah,
in a rural mountain town.
No, you didn't ruin the movie. I'm just saying that does, because actually, I read that too before I watched the movie. So then I'm waiting for all this shit to happen. I'm like, that really doesn't happen. Sorry, it does, but then it becomes a major spoiler in a sense.
Yeah. The key word here is unstable drug addict, surreal. That's really what it is. He goes to the mountains to a cabin that him and his ex-wife own, and he's going to go through he wants to finally get clean and go through withdrawal there, and he calls up his friend Anna to come join him there, and some weird, surreal shit starts to take place.
Okay. Okay. This movie is so fucking repetitive. It should have been like a half hour short, to be honest, because he fights with Anna. He makes up with Anna. The cop fucking bothers him. Are you my brother? He fights with Anna again. Makes up with Anna. The cop comes. Are you going to be my buddy? I thought we were friends. I'm like, fuck, how many times are they going to show the fucking same scene over and over again in different scenarios? Just get on with it.
It's a trip, though, man. It's a trip. That's what it's about, this movie. The guy's tripping out the whole fucking thing. So that's the experience. I guess I'm going to be the only one that likes that aspect because, it sounded like you were about to say you agree.
I do. I agree. I liked the second half of the movie. The acting, I'm sorry, and I seem like I'm going to be the big critic on all these low-budget movies, but the acting was really poor.
I like the lead, but I didn't like the girl, although she was cute.
The girl, the cop, the lead was probably the best out of the three. I mean, but at the end of the day, if you can't jump on board.
It was very monotone.
Yeah, man, and if you can't jump on board with it, then why would I want to jump on board with it? But admittedly, as it unravels, as they like to say in this description here, I thought that was kind of cool. I thought the ending was cool. There's a couple of nice surprises there, but ultimately, it was more of a miss than a hit.
Yeah. I like the idea of this movie, but like I said, like with the monotone acting and the repetitiveness of some of the actions and scenes in it, it just draws it out for you, and you just want to get to those fun. Because I do like the ending of this movie. It's really cool, the aspect of the ending, but it's like a journey to get there. It slogs.
Life's a journey, not a destination.
Wow.
What about it? 4-inch? Freaking 4-inch vein.
Yeah, what about Brandon? You haven't said anything.
What do you think? You haven't said anything. 4-inch vein. It's your new nickname. It's your vein and your 4 inches. Yeah, 4-inch vein. So
First time I saw this, I came in very high on it. This time around, my rating for this film dropped. And that's because the first time around, obviously, I hadn't seen it, so I didn't know what was going on, but I did enjoy the very surreal, hypnotic, withdrawal type feel to it. I like where it went, where by the end of the film, you're not sure if he's going through drug withdrawal or if he's just dealing with mental illness. Whereas the second time around, where I was able to obviously know what's going on based on how it ended the first time, I'm paying attention to the poor acting.
yeah.
And that took me out of it. It is poor acting, but the story was intriguing to me the first time around. There still were some big mistakes. I didn't like certain things. I mean, the sheriff was kind of annoying and stuff like that, but it made sense to me. It really did make sense to me, and I was on board the first time.
I'll tell you what happened. I watched the movie. When I got to the end of it, I ended the last thing I wrote in my notes was a question mark, and I gave it no rating because I didn't understand what happened at the end, right? I mean, I had an idea, but definitely not what it is. Then I went to bed, and then I woke up in the middle of the night. This is the weirdest thing. And I couldn't get back to sleep right away. And I never do this, but this time I did. I started thinking about the movie for some reason, and I figured out what happened. I mean, so maybe you guys knew what happened, and I didn't. And when it was revealed to me, it kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, that's what's going on here. Now I really want to watch it a second time because I know what's going on. Because I thought, dude, the little girl, I thought the story was going to be this. He has a daughter. His daughter died right there, and that's why he became a drug addict. And that's what I thought this whole thing was going to be about. And then it turns out the little girl that he keeps seeing was not his daughter at all. It was a completely different thing. And holy shit, when all that came around, that idea of that swerve just made the movie a hit for me. But I can see that happening to me, what happened to you, B. I'm afraid to watch it a second time.
She was too young to be given head.
Oh, wow.
That guy has the worst scream in that scene, too. Like, he's like,
I like the cop's badge number. 555, fuck yourself.
Real?
Well,
Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
I got something for Dave, and if it matches up with his interpretation of the ending, maybe
don't
we're on board.
spoil.
No spoil.
It's a triple R. Okay.
Are you thinking of another movie that's very similar in fashion, in terms of repetition?
I don't know what you're saying, but I'll tell you what. This isn't something that I haven't seen before. It was just done in a different fashion here. But it's still, nonetheless, it still intrigued me. But when you're talking about repetition, I don't know what it is.
I'm just going to say Groundhog Day.
Oh.
See, to me,
Or
to
Happy
me, it was
Death
just.
Day to you? Or
I
Happy
think it was
Death
just.
Day?
I just think it was out of. I think it was told like not. I don't even want to compare it to Pulp Fiction, but I'm just talking about fragmented storytelling, and so we're seeing.
It is fragmented.
We're seeing the end part or the aftermath, and as the movie plays out, we're seeing all the lead up to what happened at that point, and the end scene is just that opening redone where it's showing a reveal.
That's fine, but the only reason why I say Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day is because when they show in his trunk, when he wakes up at the end, you see a skeleton, and bodies don't decompose that much in the course of 12 hours.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. That could be 6 weeks later he's making that phone call. Who cares? That's what I'm saying. Here's what I noticed. That the first ghost he sees is the girls.
Yeah, I know.
So by seeing that, you know the order the events happened in. So in real life, what happened? The phone call he makes comes over. What goes down with those two goes down. Then the other party comes after. That's the order of it. So I figured that out, and that's what I think it is. You just had to piece it together. And what you just said, it fits in as well. You just have to piece it together, and that's what impressed me.
All right, I have a question. Every time we see like a piece of clothing, like the yellow dress and like the red ribbon, it comes back into play. Do you think, because some of the characters that we are seeing this, are they spirits already, or in that aspect?
I think he's fucking nuts, and he just keeps putting them back and reliving the same fucking thing over and over.
He's on drugs. He's tripping. That's all there is to it.
But I think he keeps making the phone call and keeps going back up to the cabin.
No, because the cop thing only happened once, and they show the cop thing being. They showed the discovery of the cop thing, the Rob Galuso being at the place, and that they showed it happening. So I think there's an order of sequence, and I think it happened once, and then at the beginning you think it's the beginning, but the guy is just doing it, and he's so tripped out that he's living it in his own head, I guess.
Plus, the only thing that kind of follows your thing, Brandon, is the store clerk is added.
Yeah, Galuzzo. That's what I said. Because that whole situation with him and the sheriff. Because remember, it has to be that day. Without spoiling, what happened? It could only have happened at one time.
Yeah, plus
this is the way things played out.
You're paying for that fucking bottle.
He was probably the best actor in the movie.
Rob G, there he is. Nice. That's a Shockwaves.
What?
He was all right. Rob G. That's it. Rob Galuzzo. Rob G. Yep.
Oh, he's the store clerk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's him. That's Rob G. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, he's the store clerk.
Yeah, but the store clerk also interacts with Anna too, with that aspect. So it kind of theorizes your theory too, Brandon, in that aspect too. Because
I love when you de-theorize. Can you de-theorize them a bit more?
That aspect, because then the store clerk would have to relive it too.
Yeah.
No, because it's all in his head.
The store clerk's not in his head.
The whole thing could be.
Everything's. It could be in his head.
It could be.
Repetition.
But that guy's a fucking weirdo, anyways. Because who the fuck drinks cereal with coffee creamer?
Well, she bought the same exact thing. She bought the same exact thing. She bought the coffee creamer also.
But she bought powdered coffee creamer.
What?
I used to work at a supermarket. I know what powdered coffee creamer looks like. Yeah.
There it is. That's the man, the Boston Creamer.
That's his porn name.
Hey, on my weekends, yeah.
Yeah, the Boston Creamer. I don't know. I think I'm going to come in the highest, but I'm not positive about that. I don't know.
I am.
I want to see if we all saw the same thing. I mean, we can't talk about it I wish we could have done this as a feature. I wish we could have done this as a feature review and hash it out a little bit and go into spoiler section. But we can't. It's a triple R. But I'm glad we got to see it, and I'm going to watch it again, and hopefully I don't have the experience Brandon had, where the acting, I'm going to notice it more. I don't know. I'm curious because I think this is something that you can watch a couple of times and take different things from it. But I think I figured it out, and we'll talk about it after. For me, I gave it a 7.5. I liked it.
I went 6 out of 10. Oh, wait. We're supposed to do head ratings.
Oh, I forgot it's a brand new movie. You're
Mild
right.
Rumble.
Second review. Yeah.
F-head. Right on. All right. Yep, exactly.
I'm at a body convulsions.
You're in convulsion land. Holy shit.
Yeah, and I dropped from a half head to a mild rumble.
There we go.
Right.
But hey, maybe I will watch it again down the line. Maybe I'll like it a little bit more. Who knows, But whatever. I'm not saying people shouldn't check it out still. They might like it more than I did, personally. But
I would have liked it more based on some of the things you guys said about the store clerk and seeing the car and stuff like that. And Derek, you pointing out him interacting. If at the end, just a certain scene where we get a view inside a trunk, if things just looked a little different. I don't care about the haunting, the very first haunting, and what he sees. Even though I thought that makeup looked like a suit almost. It reminded me of
Dave's skin suit.
It reminded me of what the wife turns into in House. Remember?
Oh yeah.
My ex-girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah, but I just wish that scene was just a little different. But it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. It's low budget, so you gotta excuse the acting. You gotta really, if you haven't checked it out and you're going to, really look past the acting and pay attention to the story, because it is a good story.
You won't forget it. This is the movie that you're going to watch. You're probably not going to forget it. When someone brings it up, you had to see if you love it or hate it or just like it. I think when someone says Dry Blood, a lot of times you watch a movie and you give it like a rating of a 6 or something. It's just another movie that was better than average, but you know what I mean? You don't think about it. Someone says the title and you're like, what the hell was that? This is the movie that I think if someone brings up Dry Blood, you'll remember. I think it's... And
we didn't really talk about the ending, but there's some certain scenes where we get some gore that is fucking insane.
Yeah, the gore's...
Oh!
We get that one kill, which is absolutely bonkers. And then we get
very well done.
Very well done. And then we get another kill that happens where he's like crying, but he's so certain of something that's going on that like he's not even sure what's going on, but he's crying, and it's absolutely haunting and terrifying. So there is some good in this film.
And I don't want to make it sound like I shit on the whole thing. There's definitely some good in this film, because when shit hits the fan, it hits the fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
But man,
worth it for that kill too.
That beer bottle, that fucking beer bottle, or wine bottle, whatever the hell it was.
A little added bonus, yeah.
But the one thing about also like that kill that you're talking about, Brendan, too, the screaming of the fucking scream.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say you got to look past the acting, because sometimes, but you know, they tried, and they at least I appreciate it having a good story. I'd rather have a good story than good acting and no story.
You know, like me personally, I watch a lot of shitty movies anyways, and I enjoy shitty movies. Yeah. I'll admit that. But that aspect too, you know, when it's a good movie, it's more noticeable to me because...
Yeah.
And I know that Jason went on a rant about people shitting on like the present state of horror and what we're getting. And, you know, we've been strong on the fact that this is probably the best decade in horror. Yeah,
we've been positive advocates for the state of horror since the beginning of the show.
And
yeah, absolutely.
We're not the only ones, but I'm just saying that we have been. But he also personally came down on me for shitting on the open house last year because he liked the open house.
Oh yeah.
And that makes me question him. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Jason. This is my retaliation.
No,
I had to do it.
I saw it too, and I was like, Jason might be like Brian from Dry Blood. We might have to take him to a cabin and get him to withdraw from shitty films.
Hey, you know what? We went through a couple texts back and forth, and power to your man, because if you like the movie, you like the movie. And what the fuck can I like? I mean, that's personal opinion. That's
hey, man. Yeah.
Who cares? But I had to bring it up. I had to bring it up again.
You're the patron.
Who gives a fuck?
Well, thanks again. And let's take a one final break. Thank you again, Jason. Thanks to all you patrons and all you listeners while we're at it, and we love you all. But we'll be back in a second.
Hey, it's your boy, Donnie Rings, host of the Horror Mafia podcast. I'm joined by my associates, Baby Joy.
Hey, yo, how you doing? Come stai?
And Big Bill Casanelli.
Hey, Bafangul, Fajul, all right?
And together, the three of us will take you, the listener, through our unique take on the horror genre.
And sometimes mob movies, too. We are the mafia, you know.
We serve up a little antipas to get you in the mood. A little gabagool, a little super sana, hot sausage, a piece of mozzarella, cracked Sicilian olive, forget about it.
As well as a wide variety of entrees to mange.
Whether the classic film review or our list episodes.
You'll always get an exquisito dish served.
Hey guys, how can we forget? Tanya's torture.
Ah! Fucking Dawn!
So come join us in the back room at Horrorphilia Studios for a sit-down with the Horror Mafia podcast.
We'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Or you'll be sleeping with the fishes.
All right. This is it, right? We're wrapping it up. This is our last review.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Derek B. Bringing it again. What's next?
Next is The Pack from 2010. Written and directed by Frank Ricard. Or is it Richard? It's spelled Richard, but I have a feeling it's pronounced Ricard. One winter morning. Yeah, seriously, how pretentious. One winter morning, while driving through the desolate French countryside, traveler Charlotte picks up hitchhiker Max. Together, they stop at a roadside diner where a strange and depraved horror awaits.
Yeah.
What a bizarre movie.
Very
It was bizarre. Yeah. Wasn't expecting to happen what ended up happening.
Like a From Dusk Till Dawn almost, in a sense, like two separate movies. Like a switcheroony, as Brandon would say.
Yeah, it turns into like a road movie to like a Lucio Fulci zombie movie.
Yeah, fucked.
Yeah.
I love the main fucking bad lady in this movie. She's fucking...
La Spack?
Yeah.
The Spack. Yeah, I like her too. Yeah. I like the girl.
I love I fuck on the first date cop. He wears that shirt the whole movie.
Oh, the cop. You know who the cop is? You know who plays that cop?
No.
Looked familiar. Who?
That's the killer from High Tension.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah, he was also.
I didn't recognize him with 18 pencils in his face. What the hell was with that scene? He's just sitting around sticking pencils in his.
He's just because he's retired. He's bored. You know. Oh, that's when.
That is the killer. Holy shit! Yeah.
He's good in this too because I like that. The one thing I do like is that he actually gives a shit. Like he could have been like, fuck it. He actually follows up and decides to figure out what happened to this missing girl.
Yeah, you expect in these types of movies for like the whole town to be in on it, but here we go. We have a retired cop who's actually genuinely concerned about her disappearance, especially once he finds her station wagon.
Yeah.
Dude,
Wow,
I thought he wanted to fuck her when they first met her. He took the number. I thought he was faking it. Anyone can say that. I thought he wasn't even really an ex-cop. He was wearing that shirt, and I thought he was pulling a freaking scam. He was just trying to get this girl's phone number. That was just his game, and he was going to get it for whatever reason, and then he was going to call her and try to do something, and then it was quite the opposite. So that was kind of interesting. And then I still wasn't sure about him until things progressed. But yeah.
Well, it takes a special kind of person to wear a fuck on the first date shirt.
He's great. I always. He also is in like a lot of Gaspar Noé films. He's the butcher in I Stand Alone.
Oh shit! Yeah, I love that movie. Holy shit!
He's in a lot of like the French horror movies. Like he's in Calvaire also, I think.
Well, isn't he also in the beginning of? Then he's also in the beginning of Irreversible.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's why I recognize him. He's one of the two guys in that in the beginning. Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you know why? That's why, because he was a pervert in that movie too.
That guy definitely fucks on the first date. I get the shirt now. I get the shirt. It makes sense.
Yeah, I like the aspects of this movie because it's even like when I was watching like the making of documentary on the disc, like all the actors that are involved, they were all like laughing at the script because it's so bizarre and it goes into like turns that they weren't expecting, And I like that about this movie because it starts out like as this road movie where these two people meet and it turns into like this weird like exploitation movie with like this weird biker gang, and then it fucking turns into like a Lucio Fulci zombie movie, and that's the shit that I really love. I love that slow moving feel of like the old 70s zombie movies that this film represents, and especially so atmospheric in those scenes.
Well, this is going to be an example that I usually always go in the other route, but I think I prefer the first half of this movie to the second half. Yeah. However, there is one sequence that is so well done, and again, I whether it's Tarantino-esque or whatnot, where you see that crazy old lady with the wheelbarrow, and someone in the wheelbarrow, and you're like, what the fuck? And then they play it out.
Yeah, I like that.
Of how it got there. I thought that was really well done. And again, I feel bad being cryptic here, but I think it is an older film, so maybe I shouldn't be so worried about spoiling it.
Yeah,
but
I'd like you to bring this scene up because I don't know. I'm confused right now.
Okay, so the I fuck on the first date cop.
Yeah.
Is in a wheelbarrow. She's wheeling it, but you're wondering what the fuck's going on because we don't know why. And then they go back and then they show the whole scene play out, and you still don't know why because as it's playing out, you think it's gone a whole different route because Crazy Lady is now locked up, and you think everything's going to be hunky dory, but then it turns again.
Why would you turn your back on LeSpac so close to the cage? She was a former wrestler.
Well, he didn't know that either, though.
He had to have known she was a former wrestler. Look at the size of her. She is big.
She fucked Charlotte up in that one scene.
Charlotte's
on the first date.
Charlotte's badass though. She even admits that she likes Charlotte. She admits she's like, I like this girl, but she's like, you don't stand a chance, sweetheart. I'm a former wrestler. I do like the Asian John Wayne guy.
Yeah, John Wayne. I'm guessing, Derek, that this one was not your first time watch.
No, I've seen this before.
Okay, I thought so. It's weird where it goes in the third act, but it's also, for me, the strongest part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I love that act. What's that?
I could tell by your reaction to when I said I prefer the first half.
Because like the third part of this movie, it turns into like sort of like a siege narrative in a way.
Doesn't make sense, but that's the strongest point anyway. That's how I feel about the movie. That's all. Because what are they? I don't know what those things are and why. I don't know the what.
They're like
I don't know the why.
They're the ghouls of the miners. They're the ghosts of the miners who were left dead buried beneath the earth because
They're
they didn't
blood
want to.
freakers for no reason.
The
They
earth
look like
needs
freaking
blood. The
creatures.
earth needs blood. Look,
Yeah,
that to me is the weakest part of the movie, the third act. I'm with Christian.
Wow.
Besides from the final image, which I thought was the fucking best in the whole movie, the final image, because at one point I'm like, what the fuck? This is how they're ending? And then they show the final image. I'm like, yes. I thought it was the weakest because they didn't give enough backstory on it. Like, I get it. Like, Lespak and Max are there because they have to continue to feed these mud dwellers. These dead that can't rest have to come up and take blood and can't be defeated in any way.
Yeah, but you're going from a movie. This is like watching Frontiers and then going into Descent.
Yeah, but they also explain the aspect of some of these mud dwellers might be her children because her kids were minors that were killed.
Yes.
So that's why.
Yeah, they allude to it.
Yeah, she does. Definitely some of it's definitely family, but Max is definitely fed up with having to rely on this routine.
Yeah, plus you could see like Max is changing because I think he actually cares about Charlotte too in that aspect because you see that scene where he gives her the apple in the cage.
Yeah.
So he actually does care when he's talking to her, and he's like, she was never like this before until after that incident happened with his brothers, and she went mad.
I think his whole performance and facial expressions throughout give the impression that he's kind of like over this repetitive scene that he has to go through in order to feed these creatures. It's like he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Fuck, he almost got raped by a biker inside the bar, for Christ's sake.
That he looked like he enjoyed.
He was very matter of fact. Maybe he chose to underplay his role for that reason, but it was well done. Like, I mean, I didn't think it was like indifference or whatever, but it just, he's very subdued.
No, he had nothing to worry about. He had nothing to worry about. It was his home base.
Yeah, he knew Lespak was coming out eventually.
Yes.
Plus, he probably doesn't give a shit at this point. He wants to fucking be done with this.
That's true.
Give me the old Lex Steel.
Yeah. And she's a hard girl not to like, man. She's a cool character. She's a pretty girl.
Who's Charlotte?
Yeah.
No, she was good. Yeah.
I didn't get the ending.
I do like, I mean, even Max alludes to it, like, and why didn't the creatures attack her the first night?
They didn't get fed yet. They got to get fed and they got to come rise up.
Well, there's the two of them there.
There's two of them there.
They ripped that one guy's arm off, and I don't care if that sounds like a spoiler because it's one sequence, and then that's it. And then doesn't it pan up to like the sky or whatever like that, and then it was bizarre.
But it just seems like for the amount that there are, especially towards the end of the film when you really get to see the pack, that both of them should have been torn to shreds at this point.
Yeah.
Also, they never really explain what Lespak is doing with the liquids and the chairs and all that. I mean,
and the random limbs that she's chopping up and throwing away.
That's what I'm saying. That's the first half. And you guys liked it?
I'm assuming those are the fatty bits that the monsters aren't eating, and she's dissolving them in acid because she throws them in that tub, and it sounds like they're sizzling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess she's getting rid of any extra evidence.
Yeah, but I would have liked more explanation into the process of what's going on in the chair, and then certainly more about the pack. But the effects of the creatures was awesome.
Yeah.
Like these type of movies, like the aspect of like the Fulciism. I didn't mind that they didn't really go into like the origins of these creatures and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because it's not about that. Because like the same thing with Apostle. Like I know like some people have like questions of like what the fuck's going on the island, but the character's job wasn't to find out what was going on with the island. So it's the aspect too. These characters are thrown into the situation. Like the two characters that were doing this, we didn't know them. As if Charlotte stayed with them as long as a little bit more than she did, she might have found out more information. But the way that the story was fast paced in that aspect too.
It was just done half-assed in that respect. I don't want some explanation that's kind of there. I want it to be explained or not explained. I don't like dropping a few things saying, okay, well, these are my brothers, something about the earth needs blood and something, but I just would have preferred a little more information. But I still loved it.
At least it was fast paced enough. Again, another film that probably from opening scene to credits was like an hour and 18 minutes. So
Yeah,
you can't complain about that, even with the lack of development. If you have an issue with that, so I could see Derek's point, because it just does jump into it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm with D too. I don't know if I had a problem with that too much either. I think they look more like a combination of Burial Ground zombies from 1981 and
House by the Cemetery.
House by the Cemetery. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like
the same shirt.
Fusion. Like that's it.
Oh.
So it was funny that was it. A total fusion of both.
I was thinking of a fusion between The Descent and 30 Days at Night. Weird, huh?
The Descent. Those things look like bad ghoulies.
Oh, stop it.
Fish
The Descent is
Ghoulie
not bad.
Muppets?
Right, yeah. You guys are both wrong when you talk about the ghoulies. Ghoulie, that does not look like a ghoulie Muppet in Hellraiser. And what did you say about ghoulies for The Descent? To form ghoulies?
They look like ghoulies that hadn't gone to college.
They look at the Ghoulies and Ghoulies 4.
Ghoulies never say die.
If anybody needs me to watch, I said I was going to watch The Descent again. I still haven't watched The Descent again. I'm not going to get into that now. We're talking about this movie.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I was about to sidetrack. Okay, we'll do that in another show. Because I watched something recently, and it came up. I was like, all right. But anyway.
Explain her arc to becoming, other than the relationship with Dude, why is she now...
with Dude.
You know me and names in these fucking movies.
Relationship with Dude.
Well, everybody gets mad at me because why can't you remember the characters' names? I'm like, I fucking can't remember the characters' names. I don't know.
Charlie and Max. Are you talking about Charlie and Max?
I'm talking about Shirley and Max. That's who I'm talking about.
Charlie.
But at the end,
That's
Shirley
a dream.
and Max. That's
a dream.
Are you talking about her working there or
Yeah.
pregnant? That's a dream.
Yeah,
That's the
she's
best
dreaming.
part of the whole. That's the best part of the whole fucking movie.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
Her
so that's her
working
hanging upside down then?
Yeah, her.
when she
That's
wakes up.
Okay. I was wondering, I'm like, who the fuck? That makes way more sense now.
Because he died in the showdown, because these things can't be defeated. Max died in the showdown in the fire in the shack where the biker gang was hiding out. They stood their ground, but they're not going to defeat the undead. And then she's having this image of, taking over the family business. I'm pregnant with Max's baby.
That was a weird kind of thing.
It was a weird sequence, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then they show her upside down.
Well, that was
with the
it,
legs
'cause then you
missing,
see-
and I'm like, yes.
Okay.
Like the first time I watched this, I feel you guys on that aspect, because the first time I watched this, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes,
Kind
that
of
was my
confusing.
problem.
But the second time when I was watching it, oh my god, it's like that nightmare logic dream shit that happens, like Phantasm and other shit like that. It's a dream that she's having while she's hanging.
Yeah, she's
dying.
still alive. She's still alive with a leg missing and upside down.
Yeah, and then the blood just comes over her POV. So it's like her shot, the blood just drains over.
I love
Was that the
yeah.
final? Was that the final shot?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a thing here that said, and I said it 2 or 3 times in this review. I said I didn't get the ending.
No, the ending is the blood coming over, and it's almost like the blood feeding the earth.
I didn't realize
They
it
show
was
it
a
drip
dream. Is
and
what
hit
I
the ground.
Yeah, it's a metaphorical thing that you see on the screen.
It almost looks like the hue of your room.
That makes way more sense. I don't know how I missed it, but thank you for that, because that actually helps my rating quite a bit and makes a better transition, because I'm like, what the hell happened? Why was she, running away? Then we're here, and they kind of exchange those looks, and she's pregnant, and then suddenly she's hanging upside down with one leg off. I'm like, what did I fucking miss?
What kind of baby did she give birth to?
She's giving birth to a putty baby.
Burial ground, motherfuckers.
So what's you rating it then, tough guy?
Me? Oh, we're there. You got no one else has anything else?
I don't know. It seemed like that was the direction. Maybe does anybody have anything else? If so, I humbly apologize.
Oh, I'm good with.
Oh, I like the showdown. Why did the biker gang? Why did they show back up at the shack? Because that wasn't their shack, right?
Well, they look like those herder types. Like they just probably ransacked it and.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he went in there and he gave. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because he went in there and he pulled up the floorboard and had all the guns and the weapons. Okay, I'm content.
I'll tell you what, the games at the beginning, I want to give them a shout out because I love them both. I used to play that Twilight Zone pinball game all the time at this freaking place out here, Putt Golfing Games. me and my friends used to go out and party and freaking golf and game and, you know, get high and shit. And man, I used to play the hell out of that freaking Twilight Zone. So that was nice to see. And then they were playing Ghosts and Goblins.
Ghosts and Goblins, yeah.
Yes.
That I recognize.
Man,
That
I heard that song right away. You know that song? Oh man,
I thought I did.
Took me back.
I'm not sure I want to know it.
Yeah.
I bet somebody out there dug it. So yeah.
I actually am more intrigued to see this again now, just knowing that revelation of how I missed that being a dream.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, movie's good. I recommend everybody to see it. If you haven't already, I come in at a 7 out of 10.
Hey, me too. 7 out of 10. Right on.
Nice. Yeah, this is one I was like, maybe I'm trying to think back what I rated it before, because I think I reviewed this on like one of my channels that I was part of. I think I gave it like a 7.5. I fucking love this movie, man. This is up my alley. You know, I love like all those bizarre trips and rides and shit. It's a fun ride, man. I'm at an 8. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you boys. You know, who are always syncing up with the same scores. 7 out of 10.
See?
But no, I really did enjoy this. I was conflicted when I got done watching this because my dad asked me, he was going to watch it with me, and he wound up not watching it, and he kept coming down every few minutes and checking it out. And then at the end, I'm taking it out of the machine. He hears me shutting down. He's like, how was it? I'm like, I don't know. I fucking hated it. No, I didn't. It was kind of good. Actually, I really liked it. Like, I literally went through that whole gauntlet with him because I couldn't decide whether I didn't like it or I liked it, because it was seriously a film of two halves, but it did come together nicely. Yeah, my personal preference, I would have liked more of this or more of that, but for what it was and for what we got, solid 7 out of 10, and definitely a recommendation on all three films.
Yeah.
All four films, including.
Yeah, really.
And we can thank him in person here. Well,
yeah, even though
Skype.
Yeah, even though I didn't like the film that we reviewed as much as some people did, I say still check it out because you might like it more than I did. You know what I mean? The Dry Blood film.
Right on.
Right on, D.
Cool.
I think he's just trying not to get on Jason Smith's shit list.
Hey, I'm the guest. You know?
This Derek guy came out and but that's not even a good impersonation.
All of a sudden he's Clay. Jason Smith is Clay.
I was getting Sylvester Stallone.
Does Jason have a Hall of Fuckers?
What? I'm gonna be in the Hall of Fuckers. But hey, man, Jeremy fired first shot. Talking shit. You know, I don't even look at other Patreons anymore.
I thought he fired 22 shots.
Boom. We're gonna fire the next 21. He fired the first one. Now we're gonna get 21 new Patreon subscribers to come and friggin' all overtake them. But seriously, I don't look. There was a time when I used to look at Patreons of other pages. Then I realized, what good does it do to even look at that? Someone makes more, someone makes less, or what they're doing with their money and how popular they are, or what. You know what? It doesn't matter. We've come as far as we're gonna come, and we're having fun. And
I was like that with views. That's like me when I started doing YouTube, Dave, and I'm looking at views and likes and dislikes and all that bullshit. I'm like, fuck it, I just do this shit for fucking fun, man. You know?
Don't get upset by all those dislikes.
Terry.
I'm just fucking with
What an asshole.
He's a heel.
He's a heel.
Yes.
While we're on the topic, I just want everybody to look forward to my new Fangoria Goes Own Toxic Horror Room Morgue segment. Brand spanking new, Exploding Heads original. Coming next.
And I'll also be doing a new segment that I came up with called my my Italian Stallion.
Speaking of it, well, you might be seeing some Italian next month from me.
Yes, you already gave me some spoilers, which I'm not unhappy about. So I'll say that. I'll just say that.
How am I gonna feel about them?
I don't think any of you will be unhappy about it.
All right.
We've been very lucky with our patrons giving us quality stuff to review.
Yep, that's because we're not assholes like Jeremy.
Jeremy gets 25 shot on videos to watch every month.
Right.
And some of those movies ain't shot on video because I've seen them and they are bad.
Thank God we don't have that. Please,
thanks, guys.
If you continue to respect us, don't give us shot on video.
Yes. Yeah. No, thank you. Please. Yeah. We all our patrons have been great.
Yeah, they have.
You know, and Derek is also a great one. So, and speaking of great one, why don't you tell everybody about the great shows that you have and where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Sure. You know, of course, Cinema Attack is on Horrorphilia Network. Thanks, Mr. Jason Lloyd, for hosting this show and that show. And also, I am on Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space presents Visions from Monsterland. Jerry will be very proud that I said that right, which is Kill the Cast sub-show. It's a side show that Jerry does with me, Jerry, of course, the infamous Don Anelli, Tank Tops himself.
Yeah, Donnie Rings.
Tank Tops.
And,
Donnie Tank Tops.
We actually have a new show that we recorded coming out probably next week where we tackle Godzilla 2000, which is an interesting discussion if you haven't heard it. And also, I kind of guessed on No More Room in Hell recently, so I'll shout out Mike Merriman and Mr. Venom's other show.
Good show.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Yeah,
like recent episode I guessed it on, we discussed Magic and Trilogy of Terror. Really fun to have a discussion about Magic, the film I always wanted to review.
Great stuff.
Yeah, it is. I love it. And, you know, I've been kind of loosey-goosey with my YouTube stuff, but DBouget86, I'm going to start doing a little bit more video since I'm going to have a little bit more time with my new schedule that's coming up for my work. Look out for that stuff. And always, if you want to talk to me, come join the Cinema Attack Facebook group where we just not talk about French extreme movies. We don't talk about sci-fi movies. We talk about every movie over there, guys. So come join us.
There you go.
Good, man.
Yeah, very good.
We wanted that a little shorter.
Hey, imagine you had Mr. Venom on it, because that's like a book of podcasts that he's on.
Oh, I know. He puts everything on there. Holy shit, he's on.
Mr. Venom, man, how much free time does this guy have?
Oh, and all these guys, they're living the dream. I'll tell you. They're living the dream with their all these podcasts. It's hard. We're hard pressed to get together every 2 weeks to do this.
Underwater Kaiju is like a bi-monthly thing too, so that works.
Are you okay with that title, Brandon?
Christian's bi-monthly.
Underwater Kaiju? I don't know. That's kind of offensive.
Yeah, what's up, man? And next show, Undead Male, starring Christian.
You got mail.
Undead Male. That's what your new thing's gonna be called from Gruesome. Bam.
I can't wait to dig into my Fangorius and do that.
Yeah, I bet. Rumors. Remember, it's Undead Male. You can do it, man.
Also got a new soundboard that'll be podcasting first for anybody on the Horrorphilia Network.
Yes. Do it, yeah.
Looking forward to all these new innovative things coming out from this show.
We're doing it all. Absolutely.
I think we should start a box office brawl. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Let's start a game. Let's start a weekly game or a showly game or whatever the word's gonna. An episodic game. Let's start a game. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I don't know.
Baldy or no Baldy?
That was the original Shakespearean question. Baldy or not Baldy?
To be TV? or
no,
not?
But in all seriousness, Dave, I like the idea. We should definitely start something.
All right, let's do a game. We'll figure it out next show. Next show we'll have a game. We got more patron action going on there.
We're going to do a brand new news segment.
Yes, Undead Male, news, and a game. Yes, next show. That's what that's what we got to do to overtake him in the Patreon. So
hey, we should get a Mexican asshole on here.
Let's not go crazy.
Jerry Cortez, if he has any free time, he can do it.
He's not an asshole, though.
I know he's not Mexican either. Actually, I just off the top of my head, I had to come up with someone else we were down with.
He's not a Mexican and he's not an asshole.
No.
Damn it.
We can find an asshole, though. It just doesn't have to be Mexican. There's plenty of assholes we know. Shit. Yeah. Jeremy, maybe we get him on the show. All right, I'll leave him alone. Thanks again, Derek. And
no problem, man. It was good to
awesome having you here, man.
Finally, eh? They finally let you on. But saying it for years.
Yeah, I was having kind of flashbacks with fucking Brandon from he started Cinema Attack with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to end it, but it failed. I'm kidding.
That's why he went off before.
We're going to have Charlene on tonight, too.
Please, I'm barely hanging on to my sanity with one show. Can you imagine if I was still doing two?
Hey.
Some people are built to podcast on multiple podcasts. I'm made for one, and barely that.
Hey, it's okay, man. You just did your 2 movies that you wanted to review, and that's it.
I did get my 2 movies.
Yeah, he did, Mr. Musical.
Mr. Hedwig. Mr. Picnic, Mr. Hedwig.
Brandon and the Apocalypse. That'll be his movie of the year this year, because I guess it's going to count. So,
I'm counted. Yeah.
There you go. It's counted. It's there. It was only 100 some odd theaters, so it counts. It's a 2019 movie.
Are we still on the air?
Yeah, we're still on here. We have to say goodbye.
I didn't know if we said goodbye or not.
Yeah, thanks Patreon. Patreon.com/explodingheads.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Derek. It was finally awesome to have you on here.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Long
Thanks for your
overdue.
time. Thanks for those movies.
And we'll see you guys on show 79. Peace out.
I pickle. I pickle they.